now going to be evaluated by Tracye Baldwin, CL, and her evaluation for Linda's speech will be 2 to 3 minutes. So please welcome up Tracye.
Welcome everyone. It's great to see a full crowd out here today, and I'm glad you all were able to make it to get to hear Linda's fabulous speech, Just Imagine. Thank you very much, Linda. Linda's topic today was Persuade with Power. Each speech has an agenda attached to it, so it gives you a little bit of focus. She was asked to combine logical support with strong emotional appeal to convince her audience of her belief in something and to persuade them to come on over to her way of thinking. Linda also asked me to pay attention to her transitions in her use of the space up here, in particular in addition to what she was focusing on. Linda began her speech with a storytelling device, which was a great technique, in my opinion, to establish a connection with the audience, and so that if you never met Linda before, you knew a little something about her before she began telling you just imagine what you can do, before she tried to convince you of her way of thinking. I thought that was a very nice approach, and it also established you as a very sincere person, which was another focus of this speech. You came across very sincere in your stories. I thought that the analogies that Linda chose were very relatable to the audience. That was another key piece of the speech, was to make it relatable to the audience. And while she didn't know who all we were getting in, normally it's a Toastmaster environment, she kept very generally relatable things in her speech. From taking that first step, we've all been there, every one of us. So she started off there, something that everybody can relate to, regardless of where you're at in life. She talked about motherhood, but in such a general term that even the men in the audience can relate to the challenges of motherhood and the fear of failure. She moved on to incorporate sports and going back to school. Very good. This was Linda's 10th speech, and she does some things fantastic. Her vocal impact was very good. She had a clear, strong voice, and she did not come off as fearful at all. I thought that your memorized content sounded very natural. It can often be difficult up here when we've memorized a speech to make it sound like a story, very natural sounding, and I thought that you did a nice job with that. It didn't sound like you were just regurgitating words that you had up here in your head. There's a whole class on how you can do that, learn how to do that well. She has a nice natural use of humor, and she wasn't afraid to walk around the area. A couple of areas of opportunity that I think can help Linda as she continues to move forward in her Toastmasters career. Her pacing was just a little fast for me. I thought when she started her speech, just imagine, and she paused, and then she transitioned. Great job. Had that kept up a little bit, and had she highlighted some of her key points throughout, I think it would have had time for the words to make it, at least from my ear, into my brain. I thought that she could have added a few more facts to support some of her storytelling, such as, after the age of 35, only 2% of people ever go on to achieve their master's degree. This was a fearful point for me as well, and being in that blah, 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 in that age range, something along those lines. Could have done a little bit more to just add facts to the speech. In conclusion, she ended with a great call of action. She tied it around to her beginning very effectively, and I felt very empowered by listening to Linda, and I can just imagine what she'll sound like with 10 more speeches under her belt. Thank you, Linda.